it was Manziel, but that if you're going to take a quarterback that's not going to start, which I don't have a problem with the rookie sitting. I prefer that. But it's different when you use an asset. People are like, well, you had to take Manziel there, or you just don't take a quarterback there because there were so many other first-round pieces of talent. And that's what bugs me, is that you could have just went a different direction with your draft. And that doesn't mean that Manziel's not going to turn out to be whatever he may be. I don't know. We may not find out. Who knows? You know, I'll tell you what, off that, you segue from that, Jonathan Knight, we you know, he's we gotta avoid doing the typical Clevelander. Sometimes we purposely joke with each other those only in Cleveland type of text messages. And we were texting about Hoyer over the last couple of days, and I go, you know what's gonna happen, right? I'm like, you know, this is Cleveland, so Hoyer's gonna ball out. He's gonna, you know, win 10, 11, whatever games here. Maybe they make the playoffs. Maybe they miss it by a game. I don't know. Regardless, he's gonna have one of the best seasons that a Browns starter has had in 20 years. And then the Browns are going to be in the awkward position of letting him walk because they've got the future on the bench, and it's time to go with the Manziel era. And then, of course, Brian Hoyer will go sign with, like, the Bengals. Andy Dalton will get hurt, and he'll go win a Super Bowl there. And then they could put his statue next to Paul Brown's in Cincinnati and continue the Cleveland legacy here. But, no, we've been joking because I said during the offseason, I said, bro, what if, and I don't even care about playoffs or anything, what if Brian Hoyer balls out? What if he plays well and the Browns played chicken with him with this contract thing into the season? They're going to reach a point where they're going to have to make a decision. And I was telling some people this week, they should start talking about that decision now, because say what you want about the way the rest of this season goes, unless an alien body snatcher comes in and switches places with Brian Hoyer, he's going to be a starting quarterback somewhere in the NFL next year. Will that be Cleveland or will that be somewhere else? I don't know. Obviously, he wants to play in Cleveland. But if you think that just because he likes being in the Browns organization and living in Cleveland and this is where he grew up, if you think he's just going to show up next year and go, oh, cool, it's Manziel's time, I'm just going to sit back and be your backup quarterback, you got another thing coming.
Yeah, well, I don't think as long as he's upright on two legs that he's going to be the backup quarterback.
No, you know what I'm saying. I'm saying the organizational.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's not like Brian Hoyer, geez, the Browns gave him his only one and only shot. This is a guy that's been in the NFL for 4 years in another city. It's not like he knows nothing but the Cleveland Browns. And,
right.
And maybe he and right now he and his agent have just got to be sitting there licking their chops. Every day that goes by, every game that goes by,
Cha-ching.
His next contract gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And we said before the season started, Jerry, that there was absolutely no reason under the sun that Brian Hoyer would be motivated to sign a contract extension with the Cleveland Browns right now, because he knows that here's Johnny in the wings, and that he's got the starting job, but you don't draft a quarterback in the first round if you don't intend to make him your starter at some point in time. And so he just had nothing but, the only thing he was motivated to do is sit and wait and let it play out, because his value goes nothing but up, as long as he plays like he knows and is confident that he can play. So, I hope the Browns don't, tap dance or don't, act too smart for their own good and end up screwing this thing up. Because obviously he's, the most popular guy in town right about now, and the most popular Cleveland quarterback since Bernie Kosar, certainly. And he's in the driver's seat, and he's going to continue to be in the driver's seat until he puts.
I agree, and that is definitely going to put him into a. But people laughed at me when after they drafted Johnny, when I said, "Okay, I'm just telling you now what's going to happen. Hoyer's going to lead this team to the playoffs, maybe a wild card or something like that. And then here, the town that hasn't found a quarterback in 15 years is all of a sudden going to be so full of themselves that they're going to go, we'll toss the first one that took us to the playoffs aside because we've got the future over here. We're ready to go." And I'm like, well, that would be a totally post-1999 Cleveland Browns organizational way of looking at things. I'm hoping that this organization wouldn't look at it that way, but you can't tell me that that's not a Dwight Clark era, post-99 era Browns way of thinking is, oh, well, we've got the new guy ready, so let's just move the old guy out of the way.
Yeah, that's true. That is, and that's why we have a habit in this town after 15 years of bad football of making the current regime responsible for the sins of the first, second, third, and fourth regimes that have been rolled out of town. And we continue to do that, I think, with these guys. But let's give them credit for having a little bit of smarts, and Ray Farmer and Jimmy Haslam obviously you can't lay 15 years worth of bad football at their doorstep. So yeah, like you say, let's just hope that they're smarter than some of the previous regimes and the geniuses like Harmon Policy that we brought in here to run this team.
You know it. And for those of you guys out there that still aren't, I don't know about Brian Hoyer, I will say this, and you can easily throw these words back at me. I don't know what his ceiling total ceiling is going to be, but I guarantee you in the future he is looked at no less than that Alex Smith level guy, and last I saw Alex Smith just got paid. So if you think Brian Hoyer's not getting paid by some team or another, you're nuts. But he does. He strikes me as that kind of guy. You give him a running game and a defense and he'll win you 12-13 ball games, man. I don't know what happens when you get to the playoffs. Obviously that's a different scenario, but that's Alex Smith too, and he's another guy that has been labeled with that game manager tag, and sometimes I think that's a derogatory thing hung over a guy. Like, I think that is not what Brian Hoyer is. I do not think he's a game manager. I think he's a game winner. He is a quarterback, plain and simple.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think some of the as soon as you have a little bit of success, and some people, I think people in this town either hate Johnny Manziel or love Johnny Manziel. Now that Hoyer's had a modicum of success, I mean, let's face it, the team's 2-2, not 4-0. Okay, now it's the trade Johnny faction. Okay, you hear these people. You probably see them every day on Twitter.
Man.
If you get rid of Johnny, spin him out, get him out of here, because
I didn't want him here.
Just nothing going to be a contract. Now, wait, what? What are you talking about? In other words, no quarterback since 1999 has started 16 games for the Cleveland Browns over the course of the season. People get hurt. People get, even if you tweak an elbow or, bruise a shoulder, or even if it's not a serious thing that's going to keep Hoyer out for even 3 or 4 weeks, you might need this kid to start a couple of games for you this year, or fill in, or finish out a game before it gets dinged up. History says this will happen. Not that it might happen, but that it will. The idea that you should spin them all. See if you can get a first-round draft choice for Johnny Manziel. Yeah, sure. You use the 22nd pick in the draft for him. Some people are just irrational. Why would you want to trade a guy that you think has some value now or 2 or 3 years from now, just because you've had, you're at the quarter pole, and success for the Browns is defined as 2-2. That you're ready to spin the guy off. I just don't get it.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not convinced, period. I'm not convinced that if Brian Hoyer went down, that you couldn't do better signing a veteran quarterback off the street and coaching him up to your game plan than necessarily because I'm just not appreciative of where Johnny Manziel is as a quarterback right now. So I'm not sure how much he keeps the ship afloat. Maybe I'm wrong. Listen, maybe that kid comes out and balls out, man, and we're going Johnny Manziel. Now, I'm not looking to just give him away. I can't lie. I was hoping Dallas started the season like 0-4. And called us and said, hey, we got 2 number 1 picks and a second for you, man. We want that Manziel guy. Now, if we can inflate this kid's value and move him out, now I'm not going to lie. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. But that's because I didn't want us to go that direction in the draft to begin with. So,
yeah, well, I didn't either. But then again, that way then you're a tweaked elbow away from Rex Grossman, and
I don't want Rex Grossman, but I'll take Jason Campbell.
That doesn't fill me with confidence either.
No, but I'll take Jason Campbell. I'll take a guy like Jason Campbell. He's a competent, fill-the-gap, couple-of-week guy. He's better than Rex Grossman.
Yeah, I suppose so. But, yeah, you're talking about different sides of the same coin. And, again, in past years, it didn't matter.
No.
Because there was no pretense of playoff contention or anything like that. And who knows, we probably have the cart well ahead of the horse on that for this year too. But we do agree that the team is better and more competitive. But anyway, I think all the talk about spinning Johnny off for this or that, I think it's just silly nonsense talk. And who knows? We also haven't seen Johnny Manziel for 4 weeks now. Maybe the kid is picking stuff up. Now, I don't think you obviously don't get game experience when you're just practicing during the week, and there's nothing like live snaps in an NFL game to season a quarterback. No, there's no substitute for that. But he obviously has been holding that clipboard, wearing that baseball cap, hopefully soaking some stuff in and watching some NFL action and hearing the play calls and seeing what goes on. And he's obviously knows more about playing NFL quarterback now than he did a month ago. So maybe we don't know what he's capable of yet.
Yeah, maybe we don't. My gut says we do, but my heart hopes that we don't. So I'll give you that much, man. And we'll see, man. Whatever. But it is what it is. Do not forget, it was just 1 year ago last week when Hoyer got hurt. So 3-2, and we know how much that season changed. And you can look at that good or bad. I was telling some people, I saw Bruce said it like last week in the chat room, but I've said this for months. I mean, really, think of how much that Hoyer injury changed the course of not just a season, but a franchise and a bunch of people's careers, because I firmly believe, I don't know how many they would have won, but they don't lose every game down the stretch like they did last year. They don't collapse.
We're still looking at Chudzinski and Banner.
Right. Chud's still your quarterback. Perhaps Joe Banner's still here. Nothing changes. I mean, Joe Banner may have happened regardless because there were some issues that was happening with who was the boss kind of stuff with him
right.
and Haslam. So that may have happened anyway, but Chud would still be the coach. I have no doubt he would not have lost his job if he won 6 or 7 or 8 games last year. And I think that's what they may have done. It's reasonable for me to assume that if they were 3-2 and you look at the games that Campbell almost won down the stretch, there were some tough ones, but there were some games that the Browns just lost that they should have won, and those are those bad team type of things where you just...
Jacksonville, yeah. Sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So you got to think they would have won 6 to 7 games last year with it had Hoyer just stayed upright and been the quarterback the rest of the way. So that changes all of that with the front office, with the coach, with player decisions, because all of a sudden they go a different direction with the front office. So out goes DeQuell and out goes TJ Ward and out, you know what I mean? The roster changes that they've made and in comes new guys. So it really did change a lot of things. So maybe I'm not trying to say it like it's never a good thing for somebody to get hurt, but look at how things turned out. You never know how they would have ended up had that not happened. But look at how much that season changed. I mean, it's very simple. That happens again, and we are all sitting here with the air sucked out. Difference is that you still have a competent running game this year that a backup quarterback can rely upon. You can still, kind of rely on the receiving core that's been in the right place through the first part of the season so far, made the plays you needed them to make, nothing above board and beyond what you expect out of them. So having those mechanisms in place that you didn't have last year, that helps out if something was to happen too. But I mean, very quickly, Browns could be, I don't care if you want to be 2-2, they could be 5-2 if Hoyer goes down. I mean, that really changes the course of things.
Yeah, it does. One thing that I think it doesn't get talked about a whole lot is that there was some concern in the preseason about the offensive line and the protection for Hoyer. I'm sure it's a function of many things working together, one of which you called, rightly, is the improved running game, which you can't overstate the importance of that. But also the scheme that Shanahan runs with the play action and the rollouts and the move in the pocket, and the quick release that Hoyer is widely known to have. All those things have contributed to, and again, I'm going to ask you a question I don't know the answer to, but how many times has Brian Hoyer been sacked this year? It is not very many.
No, not many at all.
I don't know what that number is, but I can't remember a whole lot of them. Maybe just 3 or 4 at the most. I don't know the answer again, and I'm probably forgetting some. But he has, we have played entire games where the guy has hardly got his uniform dirty, and that obviously goes a long way towards keeping a guy upright for 16 games. Again, part of it is that play action. Part of it is moving the pocket. And really, let's credit our offensive line. 5 in 4 games. That's
5 in 4 games.
Yeah, that is pretty darn good. I'm sure that there are a lot of quarterbacks would love to have that number.
And only 30 yards lost. So, I mean, it hasn't been any big ones. There's been a couple that they've gotten back there, and that's it, man. 5 sacks in 4 games.